chamber this week, a man who supposedly came back from the future. We revisit an old classic in anticipation for the next chapter. Learn how to trap your players, plus we talk about being evil. Plus all the other weird stuff we do. What bad voices will Joe come up with this week? What bits will we try to make happen? How wacky will we get? All this and more on Fandom Roulette. Oh man, I frogged out at the end of that one a little bit. Hey everyone, welcome to Fandom Roulette. This is Joe.
And I'm Cody.
Hey Cody, how have you been, my man?
I have been well. I've
Excellent.
Work, trying to get my computer set up,
Yeah.
yada yada. I'm
What nerdy stuff have you been up to?
nerdy stuff. Well, besides what I'm going to talk about
in the video game.
right.
Yeah.
I have been catching up on Steven Universe. I've been
Cool.
watching Gravity Falls.
Ooh,
I've been watching. I saw Ant-Man and the. I don't know why I want to keep saying Ant-Man versus the Wasp. They're like
well, in comic book canon, Scott wasn't. Hank Pym was like the worst. But anyway, carry on.
And then I've been playing. I actually got into a bit of a drought, so I've been playing a game with my wife, which I'll talk about in the gaming section. But I've been by myself, like when it's just me. I've been kind of like dancing around. Like sometimes I play Rainbow Six Siege with some friends. Sometimes I've just kind of been jumping around.
Wait, Cody, who are you playing video games with?
My buddies. I got a couple.
The first person you said?
Oh, my wife.
My wife.
My wife.
Oh yeah, good reference games there.
Good reference.
Yeah, that's not dated at all. So
no, not at all.
Yeah,
what nerdy stuff have you been up to?
Well, over the weekend I played a session 0 of Starfinder, which was Pathfinder in space. It was also kind of like a cool, fun little experience because my friend invited my sister if she wanted to come along, and she was very hesitant, but like within like the first 10 minutes, like she just got so into it, and by the end she was like buying her own set of dice.
So, nice.
Yeah, so like
welcome to the fandom.
Right? Well, and so like I was especially thinking like, once we're done with the 6, like if we move to a more like whoever can show up, we'll just play with those people like setup. I think she'd be interested in joining in from time to time. So
nice.
Which I think would be fun. Yeah, and then outside of that, I've been watching some stuff. I've been watching Star Trek, Avi. I watched The Last Jedi again because it's on Netflix, and that movie's so good. Bring on the hate. I want it.
That's the hill you want to die on.
Oh,
sure.
100%. It's the hill I'm dying on. I'm dying on new Star Wars, man. I don't know why I chose this one. And we actually just caught up with I just finished up the new Steven Bomb yesterday. But yeah, outside of that, it's been a busy couple of weeks. So yeah, shall we talk about history?
You know it.
All right. So this week, Cody, we're going to be talking about time travel. Marty, it's me. It's Doc Brown. That's not good.
Oh man, that is. Ooh.
Wait, I can do it.
No, I'm...
Are you sure?
I gotta walk... go ahead, but I'm gonna walk away from this.
Alright, fine, whatever. Since our last recording, Mario and Luigi's third brother, whose name I've totally forgotten, has just been, like, glaring at me, all threatening, like...
I forgot you did that, and...
Remember that original character?
Yeah, that OCFR character. Yeah. Mario and Luigi's third brother. I think his name was Marcus.
It's possible.
Or something. I don't know. It was it wasn't like.
Does that mean that the Gears of War verse is like now part of our verse? Oh shit! I
forgot the thing. No.
This is Fandom Roulette. It's a podcast where we talk about a lot of nerdy things, including history, video games, RPGs, and usually a fourth thing. But anyway, so this week we're going to be talking about... This is actually... So, Cody, are you ready to strap in? Because we're going way back into the past.
Yeah. Yes.
We're going back to the year 2000.
Wait, what?
We're looking
That's
around.
not that far
Whoa,
back.
look at how different everything is, Cody.
I know, there's like ramen noodle hair and
Yeah.
Bop It.
Oh man. Oh no, my smartphone isn't working, Cody. It's so
Oh no.
here in the past.
Yeah, you gotta get your giant box that you have to hold up to your face. That
you could like literally drop in lava and it would come back. So like it was stronger than the T-800 from the end of Terminator.
Oh, and those like old Nokia phones that you could literally like throw under tanks and it would be fine.
Oh yeah, remember when they used to build cell phones to last?
Yeah, remember when?
That's the podcast we're going to become now. We're just going to become two old funny duddies. We're back in the day. Anyway, so yeah, in the year 2000, a mysterious man named John Titor started posting on forums that he was an American military time traveler from the year 2036.
You know, that sounds like one of our garbage kids. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Right, yeah. And so apparently he was gonna start he predicted that that everything was gonna start going real south in about 2004, and he apparently had survived a nuclear war. And then we're talking about inspired fiction and triggered investigations by journalists and others. And apparently he like came back in time to like send us warnings or whatever. And so he originally started.
He did.
Yeah, right?
I didn't hear about any of these warnings.
So apparently he started posting online under the name Time Traveler _0.
That's the one. That is very credible on the internet.
Mm-hmm. I mean, hey, if there were other time travelers, how did he get 0, Cody? Yeah. Game, set, match, John Titor. And he apparently started talking... first he started talking about how there were 6 parts of things that you needed in order to time travel. So this is a standard offset Tipler sinusoid. And so apparently the device needed 2 magnetic housing units for the dual microsingularities, an electron injection manifolds to alter mass and gravity of the microsingularities, a cooling and X-ray ventilation system, gravity sensors or a variable gravity lock, 4 main cesium clocks, and 3 main computer units. And he apparently installed the device in the rear of a 1967 Chevrolet Corvette. But then
Classic.
But then later had to move it to 1987 truck, which had 4-wheel drive.
Well, yeah, I think you need 4-wheel drive if you're going to go anywhere.
Right, yeah, it's a good call on it. It was a good call on this guy's part, right?
But the question I have to ask you is...
Sure, yeah.
No flux capacitor? Are you kidding me?
I mean, come on, Cody, that's just a movie. This is real. This is real. This is real. This is real time travel hoax. You okay, bud? You get over there?
No. I'm dying.
Don't die, Cody.
Anyways, go on.
He also claimed that the grandfather paradox was not possible because all paradoxes are impossible. So
remind me about is this the one where like if you kill your parents before they conceive you, or which one is the grandfather paradox?
Yeah, the grandfather paradox is the one where it's like if you kill your own grandfather, then like you won't exist. So like, but he apparently believed in the Everett Wheeler Graham or multiple world theory, which is that his future would never quite be the same again because of general various tiny little changes that were being made, but that there are enough like tentpole things that it would exist. Apparently by 2015, there was going to be a brief but intense World War III. There was going to be a brand new Civil War in 2004 that we would start having Waco-style events every month. And then by 2008, we would have a brand new Civil War. And then he also claimed that as a 13-year-old in 2011, he joined the Fighting Diamondbacks, a shotgun infantry unit in Florida, for at least 4 years. Oh, and here's another thing. Apparently, during this brief Civil War, the two biggest targeted things were Washington, D.C. and Jacksonville, Florida. So it's fun.
It's interesting that he picked some pretty East Coast things.
Right?
Well, what happened to California?
So that's going to pay off in a minute, Cody.
Okay.
I promise. So yeah, there were obviously some issues with his story, considering that.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Considering
I don't believe it.
He said that time travel was possible, because of CERN. Remember CERN? I mean, they're still doing work, but they were the people developing the God particle that.
Neat.
In 2001, they were going to discover the thing that was needed to do time travel, except by 2001, CERN had not yet discovered that thing.
That we know of.
No Civil War happened in 2004.
That we know of.
World War III did not happen in 2015.
That we know of.
That we know.
I can't even keep it straight. I'm sorry.
He also claimed that the last Olympics were going to take place in 2004. But here's the other thing, Cody. We've had Olympics since then.
What? I didn't see any of them, and therefore that means they did not exist.
That's a good point. I totally forgot about.
Yeah, you forgot that. Much like a child, if it's out of my peripheral vision, it no longer ceases to exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But anyway, so clearly people were like, they were all starting to be like, especially when they were starting to do investigations of John Titor and found no person with the name John Titor, but did. There was a guy named Mike Lynch who was a private investigator who did not discover any man named John Titor, but did discover the John Titor Foundation, a for-profit company formed on September 16, 2003, with no office or address other than a rented postbox in Kissimmee, Florida.
Classic.
And so basically what they discovered was by 2009, there was a guy named Larry Haber who was a Florida entertainment lawyer who probably made the whole thing up just to, kind of mess with people, I suppose.
I mean, but part of it is definitely probably attention.
Also, he was a registered trademark. John Titor was a registered trademark with the United States Patent and Trademark Office.
Neat.
And you don't tend to trademark or patent humans.
What?
Apparently, John Titor was also introduced in 1998, including predicting about the chaos of the Y2K bug. So I guess these guys had tried it out for a while, which, when I said the fact that they targeted Jacksonville, Florida was going to pay off, it's the fact that it was a Florida-based brother team. So yeah. But I
see
guess
what you're saying.
Mm-hmm, yeah. I guess there were a number of people who actually, believed in this guy. He got a fairly high level of, attention. He had his own future military insignia, and
that's a lot of effort to put into that bit.
Sure, right?
Yeah.
And who knows what their actual goal was? Maybe they were just looking for a teeny tiny little bit of fame. Maybe they were just looking to get some more drum up support for their business. Who knows? All I know is it's a weird little story that I kind of just stumbled across. Of it's remember that time that there was a time traveler in the early 2000s? And I was like, no, I was alive in the early 2000s, but I was also that person who thought that Y2K was kind of dumb, so.
Yeah, I have the same opinion. I thought everyone was freaking out about it, and I'm just like, man, I just want to see the dice roll and see what happens. I don't,
I always kind of thought that the whole conceit of it was silly, where it was we didn't program computers to go past 1999, so what are they going to do? As if when they just kind of went back to 1900, they would just stop functioning because history didn't have computers in 1900.
Well, and also if you know anything about computers, 2000 isn't a hard point on anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so I took a couple of classes. My first degree was going to be in computer stuff,
Okay.
And 2000 isn't isn't anything. Okay. So I always, and like even as a kid, because I had my dad got like a Windows 95 computer, and then he broke it, got like viruses or something. I don't know. Like he was just like, I'm just gonna buy a new one, and then he's just like, here, have this crappy one. So I fixed it with the help of some high school friends, and yeah, like I've always been on a computer. I'm on a I just like I said earlier, I just spent 2 hours trying to install new hardware, and it's been a while since I've built or put parts in, and so now I feel dumb. Anyways.
Anyway, yeah.
Long, weird tangent about Y2K.
hey, it factors into the story, so.
Also, I have a question for you.
I hopefully have an answer.
What if you were gonna make if you were gonna be this John Titor man, what would be your crazy predictions for 2020?
I would predict that a businessman with no political experience became president. Oh no!
Oh no!
Okay, so you know what? I would take I would take notes from famed future teller Nostradamus. Are you familiar with Nostradamus?
Yeah.
And just write things. I think his big thing was he was too specific.
Sure.
Was in 2004 X thing is definitely going to happen. Whereas if you write things vague enough, then people can very easily kind of slide in an event or a meaningful thing to happen,
Right.
So yeah, I think that was his biggest crime was he was too specific. So I would make everything vague. What would you predict?
Man, see, you took my joke, and
yes,
that was good. I'm so glad we were both thinking the literal exact same thing. No, I would probably just be like, yeah, things are gonna get bad, and then they're gonna get good. Just be like you said, be super vague about it, and just kind of keep people on their toes. Sure, in the year 2020, something good's gonna happen.
Yeah. What's it gonna be? You'll know.
You'll know as soon as it happens, for sure. But yeah. I don't know. Probably if I had to get specific about it, I would probably be I don't know, the housing market's gonna crash in a couple of years because
Yeah, and
that's a trending thing. I don't know. I'd probably take some marketing trends or whatever and just be like, I see it in the future.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's history.
Man, I'm so happy that John Titor saved all of us.
He did.
By just being here.
Yep, that's true.
Because his crazy war future never happened.
It's true. He saved us all, so I think we all owe a debt of gratitude.
Or maybe we just prolonged it.
Oh, he heard us insulting him.
Oh no.
Oh no. So anyways, want to talk about
Video games? Yeah, I would love to. So, for those of you watching, we're gonna do something a little different today.
What?
Yeah, a little bit.
I quit.
Oh, frack.
Hang up sound. Dude.
So this is gonna kind of be a combination of our grab bag section and our video game section, and it'll kind of make sense as I talk about it more.
Sure.
But I was super jazzed about the announcement date for Kingdom Hearts 3, which is... Yeah, it's January 29th, I believe, of next year.
Wait, Cody, I have a question.
Yeah.
When you walk away... you won't hear...
Redacted.
Oh, yeah, redacted. Don't sue us, please. It was different enough, and it was for entertainment. Anyway,
it probably is on the parody clause.
Yeah, it was free use. You know, I actually don't know how free use works, but hey, whatever. Hey,
it's cool. So yeah, Kingdom Hearts is a game, and I wanted to do some research because, so I picked up I actually did some homework.
What?
And
I prepared.
Right? So I found out, or I remember that the first game, Kingdom Hearts 1, just Kingdom Hearts, came out in 2002.
All right.
I was 12 going on 13 years old when that game came out.
John Titor didn't predict the massive runaway success.
I know, right?
Hearts, so that's why he was a fraud.
Right. Exactly.
When he walked away, no one heard him say anything, so...
Oh, God. How many simple and clean references can we get out before I finish talking about Kingdom Hearts?
I don't know. We'll see.
So, for those of you who don't know, Kingdom Hearts is a goofy action role-playing hack and slash.
Well, wait a second, Cody.
Yeah?
He's a party member, though. Show a little respect.
Oh, man. I'm about to get to that part. Basically, this is it's an action role-playing game, kind of in similar vein to other action hack and slash games.
Okay.
However, it is the most wild combination of genres that have ever done like a fucking crossover.
Okay.
It is Final Fantasy and Disney characters merged into one just crazy video game.
Oh boy.
I don't even know where to begin other than, for those of you who are in bated breath waiting because you are Kingdom Hearts fans, I know. I am a fan too. I love these games.
Yeah.
They're fun, and I'm actually going through and playing them because they came out with a PS4, like, almost all-in-one, where, like, all the games are in, like, one.
Yeah.
I think it's called 1.5 and 2.5. Because their naming conventions for Kingdom Hearts games is just absolutely all over the place.
Well, who made this game, Cody?
So, normally, it's funny because this game came out when Square Enix was still Squaresoft and Enix Corp.
Mm-hmm.
They hadn't even done the merger yet. So if you have like an old copy of Kingdom Hearts, it says like it's got Squaresoft, which has a totally different logo. But Square Enix has taken on pursuing the game. So I think Kingdom Hearts was the only one that was made by Squaresoft proper until they did that merger. Okay. And Disney Interactive Studios. Disney.
All I'm saying is that Square Enix isn't known for its like logical naming conventions. So
that's also true. I never understood how they named things, but anyways, Square Enix made it. It's an RPG. It's very actiony. Like, it's not like your typical turn-based RPG where you kind of sit there and make decisions. Like, you actually have to actively move around and swing your sword, which is also a key. And
I know about this.
Yeah. So, for those of you who haven't played it and you're wondering, like, what's this Kingdom Hearts game all about? The reason people are excited is that Kingdom Hearts 3 has been in the making for presumably years.
Sure.
I mean, that we always knew there was going to be a third one after 2 because they left it off kind of with a mixed bag.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't necessarily say a cliffhanger, so to speak, but definitely left room to keep going. And then they started pumping out different games. So one of the weird things about Kingdom Hearts is not every game plays like the other. So the first game plays like your typical action role-playing hack and slash game. The next one in the line, which is Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, which I think what I'm going to do is each video game section from here to January, maybe sprinkle it out a little bit.
Okay.
Talk about the story, because one of the things that I love about the series is that the story is fucking weird, out there, like some anime shit. And it is, I love it. I love how ridiculous it is. Like, the first game is pretty, like, put together, and it's kind of like this neat little story. They don't do a whole lot of crazy stuff that's like, wait, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, it makes sense. And then they made another game, and it's just all over the place. I don't know what's going on in this game. That's why I'm playing them again, is because, like, I'm sitting here like, yeah, there's, like, the Heartless, and they're bad, but then there's the Nobodies, and then there's those guys in the hoods, and then, like, the main antagonist is, like, clones of themselves or some shit. Like, it's fucking wild. And so while I play through the games, I'm going to recap the game. So be prepared. Maybe not next week, but maybe the week after. I'm gonna go over the story of Kingdom Hearts from game to game.
I'm excited.
And so right now I'm playing through the collection, and right now I beat Kingdom. And one of the reasons why I really like this game, besides the fact that it's super silly, it's got Disney, so it's got a very family-oriented motive to it, but also it's not afraid to get weird and get a little more adult, but still kind of being like, haha, Donald and Goofy are hanging out.
Yeah.
I'm played Kingdom Hearts 1 on casual, which is easy mode. And while the majority of the game, I would say about 70%, was, pretty easy. I think I died maybe a couple times to a boss, maybe. But holy shit, the end of that game is hard no matter what difficulty you're playing on. So, like, I feel like as much as, like, it's an easy game, I think it's got enough difficulty, and there's 2 more layers of difficulty. Like, there's casual, and then normal, and then proud, I think. So, like, there is definitely layers of difficulty. So for the people out there who are, like, real sadists, and they, like, I'm coming shit. Not Darkest Dungeon. Demon Souls, and, like, that whole genre. Like, those, like, just those really hard games. Like, I think anybody's going to find a difficulty level for themselves, because man, I'm just trying to get through to play through the story, and not, like, sit there and grind for hours. But shit, man, I still haven't beaten the first Kingdom Hearts 1 on my new playthrough. I skipped it because I almost broke a controller.
Oh no.
And so I'm playing through Chain of Memories right now. But my thoughts, because I know, and I kind of made a disclaimer to the people out there who love Kingdom Hearts. Like, I know.
Give us your hot
I love it too. I'm playing through it a second time.
Okay.
And this first game is kind of rough.
Okay.
Like I said before, it's right. Like I said, the story kind of likes to shift itself between kind of a family-oriented Disney movie to some darker themes.
Okay.
And some lighter themes. It likes to shift. It never likes to stay in the same place for too long. Which I think which I dig. I don't, it's a nice pace for it. Man, it's got some, like, really old, I don't want to say archaic, but some really old mechanics that I feel like just don't hold up to today.
Okay.
Like part of it is, like, most games nowadays have pretty decent checkpoint systems where, like, if you die and you want to continue, you're not too far back from where you died. This game, unless you're at a boss, like, fuck checkpoints. Checkpoints don't exist as far as I'm aware. There have been so many times I've lost, like, progress.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Where it's like, I died because I'm a fucking idiot and I'm trying to, like, just get through these games. And then all of a sudden it's like, cool, I just lost, like, 30 to 45 minutes of gameplay. Hooray! And sometimes there will be long points where saves just aren't around, especially at the end of the game. That
when you like to have saves.
Yeah, and so at the end of the game, you fight a boss, and then instead of giving you a save right after the boss, they make you do like basically an enemy rush mode with dudes that you pretty much at your level if you're not really grinding super heavy. And you can't save until after you beat them. But it's just so, like, that's where I stopped, is because, like, I was at this boss, and I used all my items, all my magic. Donald and Goofy are fucking dead, but I finally beat him. And then it's just like, oh, by the way, you've got to kill, like, 20 waves of dudes now. Have fun. And I was just like, oh. It was awful. It was awful. I'm gonna grind and I'm gonna beat it eventually, but I had to take a step away because I have already beaten Kingdom Hearts 1. Like, as a kid, I beat it, which I don't know how I did at 13, because 28-year-old me is struggling. I need my... Right? I'm struggling really hard with those old school mechanics. Sure. It's a little dated, but if you're... I feel like, I'm gonna say this, if you're a fan of, like, those old school Disney movies, you would really enjoy this game, because it kind of, it's like a nice little mix between, like, your Final Fantasy, oh, we have to save the world from darkness, and, like, oh, but, like, Tarzan needs your help. So...
Whoa, Tarzan.
Yeah, Tarzan's in it. But... at the same time, I feel like if you know what Disney is, like if you grew up with Disney, or you love like those Disney movies, I'm pretty sure you've heard of Kingdom Hearts by now in some fashion. So it's kind of weird to be like, I feel like at this point, for people who are like, oh, I don't know what Kingdom Hearts is, like, do you like Disney? Yeah, well, you might enjoy this.
Now with the remastered editions, are they like a little bit easier to play, or are they still like the same kind of
mechanically they're the same, but they added new content, because so when the game came out, there were, over in Japan, they made like remixes of all of them.
Interesting.
So like the original Kingdom Hearts had certain bosses that were removed or not added until later, until that remix. And it was really bizarre, because there's a certain group of people, like a certain group of enemies that doesn't show up until a little later. I think about midway through the second game, or the second canonically, which is called Chain of Memories, and then like pretty much the main bad guy in Kingdom Hearts 2. And you never see one of them in Kingdom Hearts 1, but if you play the remix and you go to a certain area, you can fight, like, there's a boss battle where you fight one. And it's really bizarre seeing, because, like, I kind of loosely know what happens in 1 and 2, but everything else is kind of a blur. And I'll get into, and later I will explain why this is so bizarre, because the game is kind of loose with how it does the things that it does.
Sure.
But overall, if you're looking for a role-playing game, you like Disney, or at least can, deal with Disney, I guess, I think this is a fun game. Like, there's a lot of interesting battles. Some of the bosses are pretty hard, especially when you start doing there's Hercules is one of the like zones that you can go to, and it's kind of like a wave system. Like, you basically go into this tournament and you're like, I am the bottom of the tier, and you fight through waves of enemies to become number 1 in that cup. And there's some pretty hard boss fights in there. Like, at one point you have to fight the Titans from the Disney movie, spoilers.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, I guess I should say spoilers for Kingdom Hearts. And then one of the last bosses in that mode is Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII, and he's like the hardest fight in the game.
But that wasn't in Disney's Hercules.
I know, right? But he's there now.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite zone in the first one?
Ooh. In the first one? I think there's two.
Okay.
Visually, Nightmare Before Christmas was really cool.
Cool.
Just because, like, the outfits changed, and Sora, Donald, and Goofy, the main people that you pal around with, they all got their cool, like, Nightmare Before Christmas costumes, which were totally custom and different, and I love that about it. I think, in terms of mechanics and story, one of the last places you go to, which is Hollow Bastion, which has Beauty and the Beast in it, but it may or may not be Beast's Castle from the movie. I'm trying not to spoil a whole lot, but
sure.
Beauty, the Beast is there, and you get to like hang out with him, and he's just so strong. Like, he's just stupid good. But yeah, those are my favorite places.
Cool. Yeah, I look forward to hearing more about this series as we go forward into the future.
Yeah, me too.
Any final thoughts on 1, even though you're not quite done with it?
My final thoughts, it's a bit dated, but I had fun with it, and I think if you're looking for a classic RPG, this is a good one.
Sounds great. Shall we move into the middle section?
Absolutely.
Cody, I think that we need to keep this middle section simple like glitter. See the middle section time. It's the middle section. So anyway, we're gonna tell you how to follow us on social media. So anyway, hey guys, welcome to the middle section.
Yeah, welcome.
Hey, thank you guys so much for listening to Fan Roulette.
Yes, we greatly appreciate it.
This is when we tell you how to engage with us on the interwebs.
Yeah.
So if you want to go on the Twitters and yell at me, Joe, on the Twitters, go to we're on Twitter.com. It's at fandomr_podcast.
Yes.
That's where I am. That's where I'm tweeting. And we're gonna maybe start doing a new thing soon, which is I might start tweeting out of context D&D quotes when we play D&D.
We also sometimes will post, like, if we have a weird schedule with the podcast episodes, I think we'll also start tweeting out the episodes there. We did that for the last 3 because it was a little out of order, and both of us were also, preoccupied with the 4th of July and stuff like that. Yeah. So we moved things around. So I think in the future we will use that as a way to either announce late episodes or just, a place to find those episodes as well.
Sure. Yeah. And then if you want to talk to us a little bit more in detail and ask us big questions that we can answer for you.
Yeah.
About any of the things, really. Give us questions about all the things. We'd like to talk to you about all the things. Cody, where can we email people? Where can
you can find us? Yeah, you can find us. You can find us at fanroulettepodcast@gmail.com or www.fandomroulette.com. You can go to the very bottom and there's a little area where you can type in your questions or your thoughts and maybe your concerns, and it'll go to our email.
Yay.
Yeah. We're also on iTunes and SoundCloud and all the places where podcasts can be found.
Rate and review and subscribe and
definitely share.
Yeah, and
definitely share us around. We would love to. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, middle section. Section. Oh man, it's hot off the presses. Crinkle sound. Extra, nice. Read all about it. This is a garbage, kid. Oh, it's so hot where I'm recording right now. I feel like I'm melting.
Is it like hot garbage?
No. Oh, the nice.
Yeah, did you see what I did there?
I did see what you did there. I see it with my eyes. So anyway, this is the Garbage Kid, where we roll a completely random character, because sometimes character creation is hard, and there's a cool little book that Wizards of the Coast put out that has these really nice tables where you can randomly roll a character from top to bottom that you can use as your player character or as an NPC. And it's funny because sometimes these things are contradictory of one another. And that book is Xanathar's Guide to Everything, and now I know what you're thinking.
Nice.
Everything? Yes, everything.
Wow.
And so this character this week is named Spirit Tsunami.
What? Spirit Tsunami? That sounds like a Disney movie.
Spirit Tsunami. Oh no.
Is it the brother of Johnny Tsunami?
Oh no. I don't know. Is Johnny Tsunami Dragonborn?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with the Tsunami verse.
Oh.
But anyways, so Spirit Tsunami is a neutral, good Dragonborn monk who lived in a monastery which was carved out of a mountainside, and it looms over a treacherous pass.
Classic.
Their monastery's guardian was the monkey, which favored quick reflexes and the ability to travel through the treetops, and that's the reason why they admired the monkey. And their master was cold and distant rather, and they suspect that they might be related. And this monk is following the way of the Sun Soul.
Ooh.
In a previous life, they were a priest. That doesn't make a lot of sense, right? But they were born in a home and had no siblings. But they were raised by their paternal or maternal aunt, uncle, or both, or extended family, such as a tribe or a clan, because their parents abandoned them. And their other parent disappeared to an unknown fate. But you think that your master might be one of your parents, so that's up to you. They grew up wealthy, and their childhood home was a large one. And they always found it easy to make friends, so they loved being around other people. They were a priest because after encountering a true servant of the gods, they were so inspired that they immediately entered the service of a religious group. But they became a monk because they were wild and undisciplined as a youngster, but then realized the error of their ways. They applied to a monastery and became a monk as a way to live a life of discipline. My good friend Spirit is 41 to 50 years old, and they had 8 life events. So they spent time working on a job related to their background, which gave them 2 extra 2d6 GP, and that's like your least favorite. They committed a crime or were wrongly accused of doing so. That crime was assault, and they were nearly caught in the act, and they had to flee and were wanted in the community where the crime occurred. They made a friend of an adventurer. They met someone important. They made an enemy of another adventurer. They fell in love and got married. They had an adventure where they were terribly frightened by something that they encountered and ran away, abandoning their companions to their fate. And they also had a child. So that is
what a life.
Tsunami, right? 8 life events. I was like, oh boy.
Damn.
And 2 of them was you got married, so.
Nice.
Feel free to use Spirit in your games. And so, going on, Cody, do you have any questions for us to discuss this week?
I do. So, I got a question from one of our fans. Ooh. John, thank you.
Thank you, John.
He asked us, what are our favorite traps? Specifically for me, what are my favorite traps to run in a role-playing game? And for you, what have been some exciting, fun, or traps that stand out in your D&D career?
Oh, in general, huh?
Yeah.
Well, there was one where this is the potentially not so much fun side of traps, at least I guess on the DM side, where one time when I was in college, I was playing a dwarven barbarian. I had another friend who was playing a half giant paladin, I want to say, and then Joel was in town and he was playing another dwarven barbarian. He came in for 1 or 2 sessions, and we ran down this hallway without thinking, and the DM was like, "Do you guys want to check for traps?" We were like, "Nope, we're just running down." And we activated all of the traps that he had meticulously set up, and between the three of us, I think we took a collective 10 points of damage.
Nice.
Because of various damage reduction and just the fact that we were tanky characters. And he was like, "I can't believe that you guys collectively took 10 points of damage between the three of you." We were like, "Sorry that we're tanks." Yeah, I mean, I think traps are kind of a cool, interesting thing, especially if you're in a dungeon crawler, because it's one of those things that just kind of keeps you and your party on your toes. So some memorable ones from the 6 was we were going down this very long set of hallways, and I think about halfway or stairs. Oh God, it's so hot. The one of the stairs kind of crushed you, and so we were able to all of us jump over it except for our then warlock, who got smashed so bad. I think he was 1 HP away from insta-death, which, if you know anything about 5e, is almost impossible.
Yeah, it was pretty wild that it was literally 1 hit point away. That trap alone is one of my favorite moments was oh no.
Yeah, right.
I almost killed someone.
And then it empowered Cody, and then it became his defining.
It became my calling, if you will.
But yeah, and I think another one, and this I guess is your mileage may vary trap depending on who you talk to. But we were going through and we were having our rogue literally check for traps every 5 seconds, right? It was he had a 10-foot pole, and so he would check and check, and it got to a point where he was doing it so frequently that you were kind of channeling your response and just be kind of bored and upset that he was wasting your valuable time by checking for traps. And then the one time he didn't check, you dropped 50 spiders on us, and we were all so mad because we were so diligent for trap checking.
It was great too because I didn't even plan. I didn't fake you out and just make a fake trap. There was literally I had made the map and all of the shit, and it was just so funny that you finally gave up right when there was a trap.
Yep. So, I think that's the real there's the old trope in comics about D&D and stuff where it's the old oh, rocks fall, everyone dies, or the beginning of Indiana Jones where literally every step he takes there's a trap. I feel there's room for that high level of traps, but I feel traps are most effective when used kind of sparingly because it really lulls you to a false sense of security and then snaps you out of it real quick. So,
see, my thoughts on traps are interesting because, on one hand, for a while I thought they were very boring. To me, they were HP sponges. They're there just to take away some of your health, so that the next fight you either have to spend a cure right away or deal with the fact that you're less on health. However, I've kind of turned my views on it. I think traps can be fun. I think a lot of the you hit a tripwire and you get shot with poison arrows, that can kind of be boring. I actually would be interested in, I think traps are cool when they're deemed necessary or they feel that would have been a real thing in that place. You know what I mean? It'd be weird if you were just kind of out in the middle of a field and then all of a sudden a trap gets you. But if you're in a well-protected evil lair and you're walking down this seemingly empty hallway, that would be a cool place for a trap. You know what I mean? I also would love to do and Indiana Jones is got me thinking about it, would be there's an adventure where it is all just well planned, just traps the whole way through. and you just have to either push on or try to, obviously with traps, I think they're more fun when there's at least a way to disarm them, or I think infinite traps are like traps that are like undisarmable, or there's nothing you can do about them. You just have to take you gotta take the damage. It's kind of lame.
Mm-hmm.
So I also like in Xanathar's Guide to Everything, which you brought up earlier, they have examples of some cool traps that the Dungeon Master can use. Like, I think one of them is there is a boulder that falls down this, slanted hallway.
Oh, man, like, what?
Yeah, but hold on. But on each end of the hallway, there's a portal that opens up, and it basically just keeps rolling. And you can dodge it, but every time it picks up momentum, it does more damage if somebody gets hit by it, so it eventually becomes a problem. And there's another really cool one where, like, I always like the one where the first initial trap is very noticeable. Like there's like a spike pit. Like there's like, there's like this, you can step over it, there's a spike pit right there because you can tell that the floor is not the same color, or maybe there's like markings on the floor. But right in front of that is a harder to detect trap that pushes you into the obvious trap. Yeah, like a springboard that pushes you back. Like,
that's dirty right there.
That is dirty. I love those kind of weird, almost Rube Goldberg traps where, like, at first it's nothing and then it's like just cavalcades into nonsense. Yeah, I think traps they can be fun. I think that if in the right place, especially in a dungeon crawler, like that's where that's kind of like the bread and butter of traps. Yeah. It's like you're in an old guarded tomb and you've just fought a bunch of skeletons and now you're in this empty room with a checkerboard tile floor and weird, like, holes in the ceiling. You know what I mean? Like, that stuff's kind of cool, but doing too much of it, doing too much can kind of be a pain, especially on the party, because oftentimes, you can't disarm or you can't figure out every trap, so sometimes you're going to take the damage. There's some good areas in the dungeon. I actually use this table a lot. I don't know what page it's on, but I know I actually have it on my DM screen. There is a table for how much damage would be appropriate for a light damage, medium damage, and like deadly damage for the varying levels. And I can't remember what it is exactly, but I know, like, if I'm ever thinking, like, if I ever, like, want to include a trap and I'm just like, oh shit, I don't have anything for that, I look at it and it's kind of like a 9x9 grid, I think, of just like, oh, are they levels 1 to 4? Light damage would be like, a D6 or a D4. Medium damage would be like the next step up, and so on and so forth. And I actually use that a lot when I come up with traps on the fly, and I just kind of like, okay, well, that's how I would run those. But yeah, I think traps in the right setting are cool.
Sure.
The only time I would ever be like, use traps everywhere is if that was like the shtick of the dungeon.
Yeah.
Like,
which sometimes
like I would imagine, right? I would imagine like a mad, like, necromancer or wizard or just some nut job just being like, oh, I gotta hide like my most precious item. Like, I don't need it, but I definitely don't want it on me. I'm gonna put it in this ridiculously trapped, like, maze of hell. Like, I could see that. That would be cool. But I could also see, like, oh, we're on the 3rd floor of this tower, and we've been here for days because every foot we take is just another axe that just gets hucked our way. So, I think if you are a dungeon master and you're like, ooh, traps sound cool, I would tread with caution, because too many can get really annoying really fast.
Sure. All right. Well,
but yeah, that's my thoughts on traps.
And should we wrap up with a little bit of talk on the last sort of section of alignment?
Oh yeah, that's right. We have 3 more.
Yeah.
The last 3.
The last 3. Evil. Menacing laugh.
Yeah.
That Foley was good Foley. So anyways. Yeah. So the last 3 alignments are probably gonna sound maybe similar to the first 3 alignments, just evil.
Yeah.
So the first one is lawful evil. And this is a person who follows the laws, but the laws or the government are evil.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. So I think 2 of the best examples of this are like Darth Vader.
Oh, perfect.
He's following the laws, right?
Yeah.
But he's not a good guy.
No, he's definitely not. Well, I also like the idea. So I think on one level, lawful is definitely like you uphold the law.
Mm-hmm.
But I also like, I've heard this a couple different places, but not necessarily the law, but like you adhere to a particular code. Yeah, like it might be honor, or it might be, something like that. I think that's a nice open way to make a evil character lawful.
Yeah.
Or like a shitty boss. Shitty boss, lawful evil.
And like, I don't know, maybe you'll disagree with me on this one, Cody. Okay. I feel that lawful evil tends to make some of the more interesting final villains.
Oh yeah, I love lawful evil characters. I think there's something interesting about, like codes of conduct, or like behaving a certain way, but also just being downright dirty. Like, yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I think some of the more interesting villains have been lawful evil.
Like, I think one could argue that your villain right now for the 6 is lawful evil.
Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but I think you're in the right direction.
That's how he strikes me at the very least.
Yeah.
Then we have neutral evil, which is pretty much like they just do bad things, but they're not necessarily like, they're not doing it for one particular reason or another. They just do evil things. I don't know.
This is the weird one, because like
it is.
Part of it is like they could be using the law, but they're not necessarily adhered to it like other people are. I would say, I don't know, like a professional killer.
Mm. Okay, yeah, I can
or like
see
a
that.
Like a hitman. I don't know, like that. Yeah, like a bounty hunter is another good one. At least like a bounty hunter who's just like, yo, dog, I guess someone who might only be in it for the money, kind of a thing. Like that's where my mind goes to.
I played a neutral evil character who ended up being the most chaotic good character I've ever played, but that's neither here nor there. So,
it's interesting. I was looking at, because this one always kind of trips me up.
Uh-huh.
Mostly because I think like the neutral ones are always kind of a little weird to kind of like pinpoint. But some of the examples that this place was talking about was like a less lawfully bound evil overlord. So, and their examples are Voldemort, Emperor Palpatine, and Skeletor, which I thought was interesting, because I don't feel like Emperor Palpatine fits that bill, because like he used the law to basically turn it against the people,
and then he became the law.
Right, he is the law. And then I could see Voldemort though. Like, he wasn't necessarily like, chaos wasn't necessarily his thing. He made a group of people, and they had to adhere to a certain kind of code of conduct. So like I could see him being right down the middle, neutral evil. But he's a bad dude. He wanted to kill all the non-magic folk who wanted to use magic, or just non-magic folk in general. I don't know. I'm not like a fun fact, I guess. Right, so like he wanted to kill people. He was evil, but he was willing to break the law, but he made people adhere to his kind of code of conduct.
Sure.
By joining his little cult.
Then I guess that makes sense for neutral evil.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give them Voldemort. I will not give them Palpatine.
Yeah, I wasn't going to give him Palpatine, but I thought that was a good talk about, the differences between the two and how they kind of get a little muddy.
And then finally we have chaotic evil, which is you just do evil for evil's sake, and you're just trying to create chaos in the world. So obviously...
Yeah, chaos. Chaos warriors.
There's only one character springs to mind for this one.
Yeah, this is the iconic one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The Joker.
Oh man, I was stalling to see if I could think of like a really obscure character to pull up that doesn't actually fit in at all,
and just totally throw me off.
Right? Yeah.
That would have been perfect.
It's of course Spider-Man. So anyway.
Yes.
Here's my big secret, Cody.
Yeah.
You know what the first J in J. Jonah Jameson stands for?
No.
Co-host of Fan Roulette, Joe. That's right. I've been J. Jonah Jameson this whole time. Spider-Man is chaotic evil. He's destroying our society or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, these characters...
Chaotic evil is probably the easiest one to describe. It's really just destruction destruction of everything, really. Like, yeah. I feel like that's what chaos does, is it destroys to destroy. It does, it destroys good, it destroys order. Like,
yeah, it doesn't really care who's going down in the wake.
Right. I mean, and these are the people that I absolutely, like, when it comes to people playing, like, I want to play a chaotic evil character, I'm like, I don't want to play.
Yeah, right.
Chaotic evil is so hard to, unless the campaign is set in that direction, like you're all playing evil characters, like I'm totally on board with that, but chaotic evil tends to turn into chaotic stupid and
quickly,
just kind of ruin the experience unless people are on board. If people are on board, cool, like that's alright, but oftentimes it leads to, I'm gonna stab my friend in the back, cause that's chaotic evil.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, wacky.
I feel that chaotic evil is better for villains, and even then, for short-term villains, who knows, maybe you could have a good long-term chaotic evil. But...
I mean, I think there's a place for a long-term chaotic evil. I think villains in general...
The Joker has existed for
a while. Well, that's... And I'm not even talking about... Like, I could see... Because, like, demons are technically categorized as chaotic evil. Like, there are these beings that... Yeah, there's devils and demons.
Uh-huh.
Demons are basically...
They're lawful.
Just...
Right?
No, demons are chaotic evil. Devils are chaotic. Hold on. Let me rewind. Demons are chaotic evil. Devils are lawful evil.
Okay.
And the reason they split them up is devils will write contracts and try to get you to sign, ridiculous claims for your soul and for, monetary gain or what have you. While a demon will literally just come out of the portal, see you, and just tear you apart and then proceed to rampage through to the next place.
Fair enough.
I know there's some lore, like D&D lore behind why devils are lawful, but I think...
I mean, it's one of those... It's one of those deals where it's like, if you look at mythology, they tend to fall into those things.
Right. And I think, in terms of, like, the evil spectrum, I think a villain could be said for any one of these three.
Sure.
I think we often run into problems with creating villains.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a rookie mistake is to try to make someone like the Joker right off the bat and not really understand, like, what that means. 'Cause, like, while the Joker is, anarchy incarnate and wants to destroy everything because he's an agent of chaos, he's still smart about it.
Sure.
Like, he wouldn't go into a room filled with people, stab someone, and then throw a pie in someone else's face if he didn't know he could get away with it, kind of a deal. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
I understand.
And I always feel like when people try to portray or play evil characters, sometimes they like, and I think it's kind of the way it's kind of the way villains are played up, especially when we're kids.
Sure.
You kind of grow up with the villain either being super obvious, super dumb, and like the hero can save the day. Like that's kind of the typical story. Right. But if you want to do something a little more compelling, you have to make them capable in some fashion. Like whether they're smart or wealthy or what have you.
I mean,
I think a good villain... What?
Oh, no, go ahead.
I think a good villain needs to have some pretty strong traits that make them formidable, or otherwise it's just like a flavor of the week kind of villain, and it's like, whoa, Captain Sparklebutts is off again!
I mean, I think, like, at this point, this is almost becoming sort of a rote quote, but it works effectively, is, you know, that quote that goes around where it's like the most effective villains are the villains who don't think of themselves as the villains.
Yep.
And which is not to say that you can't have other villains, but it's like those ones tend to make very compelling on-screen villains. So, or D&D villains.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, or should we wrap this bad boy up?
Let's wrap this up. I think we did a good job.
Well, I want to thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of Phantom Roulette. Please go back to the middle section.
Yes, thank you so much.
To get all that information. Please rate, review, subscribe, like, share, pass it along.
All the things.
Stuff. Yes. And signing off for this week, this is Joe.
And I'm Cody.
And as always, stay nerdy.
Stay super nerdy.